Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am going to give people a second to get here. Sorry, let me rearrange myself here. Welcome to our breaking news coverage here. We're just coming on, just getting this news now. Not even in the newsroom. I have to be in early for CPAC tomorrow, so we had left the newsroom a little earlier tonight. But this this news just came in. I'm just learning about it myself. President Trump, the Trump administration, has reversed the Obama administration's guidance on transgender bathrooms. So here's my understanding what's going on right now. Here's all I know right now, and then I'll try to figure more out from Twitter and stuff like that. So President Obama, under his administration, they issued these guidelines, and they said so Title IX is this law that was passed in 1972. It's a law that says that, roughly speaking, educational institutions cannot discriminate on the basis of sex. That's roughly speaking what Title IX says, that educational institutions cannot discriminate on the basis of sex. But you might wonder, well, what do they mean by on the basis of sex, and what do they mean by discrimination? What is this supposed to cover? The Obama administration in 2015 sent a letter out, and they basically said, look, here's what we think one of the things that Title IX implies. We think that, according to Title IX, all schools that receive federal funding, have to make their bathrooms accessible to transgender students according to whichever sex students identify with. So basically what the Obama administration said in 2015 is, whatever sex a student identifies with, a school receiving public funding must let that student use the bathroom of their choice that agrees with what sex they identify with. Now, from what I have heard tonight, I've heard very little about this, but from what I am hearing, the Trump administration has reversed this. So the Trump administration is no longer saying, like the Obama administration said, that schools must do this, that schools must allow students to use the bathroom that corresponds with their gender self-identity. So it's as I understand it, the Trump administration is undoing this thing, and that was just done 2 years ago by the Obama administration. Now, the Obama administration, when they came out with this guidance, and this guidance is like saying to schools, hey schools, this is what we think you should do. Basically what the Obama administration said is, this is what we think you should do according to Title IX. Since Title IX says you can't discriminate according to sex, we think that if you don't let students who self-identify with a particular gender use that bathroom of their self-identified gender, you're discriminating against students. And once the Obama administration said that, schools would need to comply, because if schools didn't comply with the Obama administration bathroom order, then they would no longer get federal funding. According to Title IX, to receive federal funding, a school must not discriminate according to sex. And according to this Obama ruling, or this Obama administration guidance they sent out, they said, we will consider you discriminating on the basis of sex. We will consider you violating Title IX if you don't follow our bathroom rule. And our bathroom rule that the Obama administration sent out was, you must let a student who identifies as a certain gender, forget what their biology is, if a student identifies as a certain gender, you must let them use that bathroom. The Trump administration, from what I am hearing, is no longer going to insist on that. They are reversing the Obama administration's guidance. They are no longer saying that, hey, schools, you have to let somebody who self-identifies as a certain gender use that bathroom. So they are reversing this guidance the Obama administration sent out a couple of years ago. Now, as to where this will all go, I'm not sure where it will go. Like, for example, I'm wondering, could someone now sue? I'm imagining perhaps somebody could sue the administration and say, hey, look, we think that according to the law Title IX, what the Obama administration said about bathrooms should hold. So your guidance is unconstitutional. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but that I guess could happen. Again, we are just getting word in here. I'm just getting this here. I'm trying to find out more information about it. That the Trump administration is reversing the Obama administration's guidelines on bathrooms. And the Obama administration said, hey, schools, if you want federal money, you have to be in compliance with Title IX. And Title IX says no discrimination by sex whatsoever. And we think the Obama administration thought that if a school didn't let a student use the bathroom of the sex they identified with. So let's say there was a biological male, but that male said, I identify with being a woman. A school would need to let that biological male use the woman's bathroom if they wanted to be in compliance with Title IX and therefore be able to receive federal funding, according to the Obama administration. The Trump administration, from what I am seeing, is no longer saying that. They are reversing that ruling. They are no longer saying, schools, you need to let a student use the bathroom that agrees with their self-identified gender, or I guess you would call it gender. So that's the latest news in here. And just a little background here. So when the Obama administration came out with this guidance in 2015, when they came out with this prescription for schools on bathrooms, it was seen as quite controversial because the original, I will get you right here, Title IX is actually very short, the way it's written. And a lot of people felt that Title IX didn't imply what the Obama administration was saying it implied. So here's Title IX. Title IX is very short. It's a part of the Education Amendments Act of 1972. And Title IX says simply this: no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal assistance. So basically it says no discrimination on the basis of sex. But a number of people have thought that when that was written, Title IX, by on the basis of sex, the law was meant to say what the meaning of on the basis of sex was on the basis of biological sex. So there are many people out there who say Title IX just says you can't discriminate on the basis of biological sex. You can't, say, offer fewer classes to biological women than biological men. You can't spend a lot more on sports for biological men than biological women. So a number of people have thought that Title IX was talking about discrimination on the basis of biological sex. When the Obama administration in 2015 came out with this guidance on bathrooms, that guidance wasn't talking about discrimination on the basis of biological sex. It was saying, hey, schools, if you don't let, biologically male students who self-identify as female, if you don't let them use the women's room, you're discriminating on the basis of sex. And some people said, well, that's not discrimination on the basis of sex. Now, maybe they're discriminating against them because of their self-identified gender, but Title IX doesn't apply to that. So one common way of seeing Title IX is it only has to do with discrimination on the basis of biological sex. And some people criticize the Obama bathroom guidelines that came out in 2015 because they said, you're reading something into Title IX that's not in Title IX. When Title IX talks about discrimination on the basis of sex, the people who wrote Title IX weren't thinking about transgendered people getting discriminated against. They were just thinking of biological males being discriminated against, or more specifically, biological females getting discriminated against, because at the time, say, there were schools who would have higher admission standards for women than men, biological women than men, or would say wouldn't let as many women as men into certain programs. And that was really what the law was inspired by. So it was very controversial when the Obama administration said that in 2015 that not letting students of one biological gender, if they identify as another biological gender, not letting them use the other bathroom is discrimination basis on the discrimination on the basis of sex according to Title IX. So there's this question of what does Title IX mean when it says on discrimination on the basis of sex. And actually today, in Sean Spicer's press conference, in his press briefing, he actually specifically said, I saw this, I remember him saying this, he said that he thought, and the administration's position was that the Obama administration's bathroom guidance was read something into Title IX that's not actually in Title IX. Sean Spicer's, what he said is that according to the Trump administration's view is that transgender bathroom stuff isn't covered by Title IX because Title IX is only talking about discrimination on the basis of biological sex. Now, he didn't say that specifically, but I take it as to what he was implying. And now this, look, if you think that people who are one biological sex or the other biological sex should be able to use the bathroom of their choice given what gender they self-identify with, then what the Trump administration would presumably say to you is, okay, we'll pass that law. So if this ruling by the Trump administration to reverse the Obama administration guidance on this in no way prevents Congress from passing a law which says that, or states from passing a law that says we think that explicitly allows people to use the opposite bathroom if they identify with that gender. All this, the Trump administration's view, as Sean Spicer said it today, all it was based on was that all their reversing Obama's position was based on. Well, there's two reasons I heard from the administration as to why they were reversing the Obama position. One was they thought the Obama bathroom regulations were not actually implied by Title IX. Title IX didn't deal with transgender bathroom regulations. It's not the kind of discrimination, if it is discrimination, that's talked about in Title IX. So the Spicer, according to Sean Spicer, the Trump administration didn't feel that the Obama bathroom guidance which was justified by pointing at Title IX. So when Obama came out with this bathroom rule, the Obama administration said, this bathroom rule is justified by Title IX, and Title IX implies this. So the Trump administration does not think that Title IX implies this. And the other reason that the administration gave for wanting to reverse this Obama bathroom regulation, or Obama bathroom guidance, I should say, is they said that they wanted the states to be able to decide this issue. The Trump administration doesn't think that this should be a nationally decided issue. They think it should be decided at the state level by the individual states, and the states can make their policies. So those were the two reasons I have heard that the administration is reversing the Obama policy on transgender bathrooms. And to repeat, this information just coming in very, very, very recently. Just minutes ago, the reports have said that the Trump administration is reversing the Obama guidelines on transgender bathrooms. So the Obama guidelines were, hey, schools that receive federal money, if you want to keep receiving federal money, you must change your bathroom policy if it's not already like this. And your bathroom policy must be that whatever gender a student identifies with, no matter what their biological gender, they can use the bathroom. They must be allowed to use the bathroom of the gender they self-identify with. And the Trump administration is no longer going to insist on that. They are reversing that. They are so now it will no longer be the case, as it was for the last year and a half, that if a school wanted to get federal money, they had to comply with this Obama bathroom regulation. That has been reversed according to the reports I am getting in. I do not know if there's any other kind of reversal of any kind of other Obama guidance that came out. That is the one thing I have seen. So, by the way, if you want to, while we're covering this story, comment on this or ask any questions about it, what you can do is you can direct message me at Lookner, that's on Twitter, at Lookner, direct message me there, or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. So again, if you want to send in comments, I'm happy to read them while we're covering this and share them with everyone. or questions, go to @Lookner on Twitter, @LOOKNER, and direct message me or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Once again, we are covering that the Trump administration tonight has come out and reversed the Obama administration's guidelines on bathrooms for schools receiving federal funding. And the Obama administration guidelines said that schools needed to let students, or anybody, I guess, at the school, needed to let people at the school use whatever bathroom corresponded to the gender they self-identified with, regardless of what their biological gender was. So according to the Obama guidelines, if there was a biological woman who identified as a man, she must be allowed to use the men's room. And according to the Obama guidelines, if there was a biological male who identified as a female, and this is self-identified, this is not like you go to a doctor or you go to a psychologist or something and you get diagnosed, I don't know if that's the right word, or you get classified as one gender or the other. This was, as I understand it, the Obama guideline was if you self-identify as one or the other, you are allowed to use that bathroom. And the Trump administration has reversed that, so schools do not anymore have to follow the Obama bathroom guideline on transgendered people to receive federal funding. So I'm just going to quickly check and see if you have written any comments here. So this is someone who does not want to be named, but it's a question. It says, so all Trump did was remove Obama's addition to Title IX by forcing schools to add transgender bathrooms. Now they don't have to add it, but if you live in a state like Washington State, they can still add them like my kid's school district does. Which, by the way, my 14-year-old says lots of boys and girls go into them to do sexual things. Okay, so that's a comment from a viewer who didn't want to be named. But yes, so my understanding of what happened tonight is simply this: that the Trump administration has said the Obama guideline on bathrooms in schools that receive federal funding no longer exists. They will no longer enforce and say that to get federal money, you need to let students use the bathroom of the gender they identify with, regardless of their biological gender. But as you said, person who did not want to be named, my understanding is that individual states can still pass regulations. I don't know if it's just the states. Can they do it by individual college or whatever? But my understanding is that individual states can still pass their own bathroom regulations, so it is possible. And this person who wrote in said that in Washington State, there are schools with these regulations that have passed them. My understanding is that the only thing that changed tonight is that the federal government will no longer say, hey, schools, if you want to receive federal money, you have to let students or anybody at the school use the bathroom that they self-gender identify with, and regardless of what their biological gender is. So again, if you want to write in while we're covering this, and I apologize I'm not in the studio, as I said before, we're covering CPAC all day tomorrow. We're starting bright and early, so we had left the studio a little early, and as I was at home this evening, this breaking news happened, and we wanted to be able to bring you coverage of this breaking news that the Trump administration is no longer insisting on, you could say the Trump administration has reversed the Obama administration's bathroom guideline for schools receiving federal funding. So if you want to comment, I'm happy to read your comments and or try to answer your questions. The two ways to do that are go to Twitter. My Twitter feed is @Lookner, @LOOKNER. You can direct message me there, or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. So let's just see quickly if there are any other comments here. Let's see. I think I'm caught up on the comments. Let me just check my email to make sure I'm not missing any of your comments. And I want to say a little bit more also about the whole Title IX thing for people who just came in. So to repeat what the Obama guidance was, Title IX is this law that was passed in 1972 by Congress. It's part of the Education something or other. What is it here? It's part of the Education Amendments Act of 1972. And Title IX basically says that schools receiving federal money cannot discriminate on the basis of sex. And in 2015, the Obama administration came out and they said, well, hey, schools, if you don't let a student or if you don't let a person at that school, whoever the person is, doesn't have to be a student, it could be a faculty member or anything, but hey, schools, if you don't let someone at the school use the bathroom that agrees with the gender they self-identify with, regardless of their biological gender, you're in violation of Title IX because your school is is discriminating on the basis of sex. So according to the Obama administration, if there was a biological male who self-identified as a female, not who somehow got officially classified by some authority on this or some psychiatrist or a doctor or whatever, if a student just self-identified, if a biological male said, I'm a female, and they self-identified it as such, according to the Obama administration, if a school did not let that person use the women's bathroom, that school was in violation of Title IX because they were discriminating on the basis of sex. And the Trump administration didn't agree with this because the Trump administration did not think that Title IX implied anything about transgendered bathrooms. And one reason they might have thought this is that a number of people have thought that Title IX, when it says discrimination on the basis of sex, that should be interpreted as discrimination on the basis of biological sex, not self-identified gender or something like that. So that's one of the reasons the Trump administration didn't like this Obama guidance on bathrooms, is because they said it read something into Title IX that wasn't there. So the news again, we're covering this breaking news. The Trump administration has reversed the Obama administration bathroom guidelines for transgender bathroom use in schools receiving federal funding. To repeat, if you'd like, I would love to hear what you have to think about this. Do you support this decision by the Trump administration or not? Do you have any other comments on it? If you want to write in and let me know what you have to say about this, I'd be happy to share it with everyone. Go to @Lookner on Twitter. That's my Twitter feed, @LOOKNER. Follow me if you'd like while you're there, because when breaking news happens and I'm going to cover it, I send out a little alert. So if you want to get a little alert, please follow me on Twitter. But direct message me on Twitter if you'd like to make a comment and have it read, or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. So let's see if there are other. Okay, so We Takers writes in, this is a good question. Is this an executive order, or what did he do to reverse this? So I don't believe it's an executive order. So here's the deal. The Obama, basically, Title IX is this law that was passed in 1972 that says, hey, schools, if you want to keep getting federal funding, you can't discriminate on the basis of sex. But Title IX doesn't itself say what discrimination on the basis of sex specifically involves. So different administrations can say, hey, here's what we think Title IX what according to Title IX is prohibited discrimination. And the Obama administration said, hey schools, we think if you don't follow this particular bathroom rule, then you're in violation of Title IX. So I think if the Trump administration let schools know we don't consider that part of Title IX, that's all they really need to do, because schools, as soon as they heard the Obama administration say, we think this is implied by Title IX, they're going to start following that regulation because they want to keep getting their federal money. But if they hear the Trump administration just say, we don't think this is part of Title IX, they no longer have to follow it, because the only reason schools might have been following it to begin with, and the only reason schools would have changed their policy on the basis of the Obama administration's pronouncement is because they thought, well, now if we don't follow this rule, we're going to get like our federal money pulled from us. So really, to me, to make this effective and to make it that schools no longer feel that they have to enforce this regulation, all the Trump administration needs to do is put out an announcement. I mean, really, they could just put out a press release. As long as they make it publicly known that they don't think this is part of Title IX, then schools will no longer feel compelled to follow it, because the only reason that they would have changed their policy to follow it, if they didn't already have this policy, the only reason they would have changed right after the Obama rule came out the Obama guidance came out is because they wanted to keep getting federal money. But now they know, as soon as the Trump administration says, we're not going to make this one of our guidelines, we don't think this is part of Title IX. As soon as the schools hear that, there's no longer any financial motive for them to have this regulation, because they know if we don't have this regulation, we're not going to get federal money withheld from us. So I don't know specifically what form this took. It was not an executive order, but to me, all the Trump administration would really need to do is just make this known. As long as they make it publicly known that they don't consider this part of Title IX, that's all they need to do, because then that tells the schools, we are not going to take money away from you if you don't have this bathroom regulation that the Obama administration insisted on. So very good question, We Takers, and I'm not sure exactly what they did, but they could have just publicized it in some way. Once again, just to repeat before we get to more comments, we are covering this breaking news that just came out tonight, which is that the Trump administration has reversed the Obama administration's bathroom guidelines of 2015, and the Obama administration's bathroom guidelines said, hey, schools that receive federal funding, if you want to keep receiving federal funding, you need to have a bathroom policy by which whatever gender students self-identify with, no matter what their biological gender, whatever gender they self-identify with, you must allow them to use that bathroom. So if there's a biological male who says, I identify with being female, you must let the student use the women's bathroom. If there's a biological woman who says, I identify with being a man, I consider myself a man, then you must let that student or use the men's bathroom. And it doesn't just go for students, it goes for any people at the school. Now let me say this. This is driving me crazy all day, and I'm going to go on a little rant here because it really is annoying me. I am looking at CNN out of the corner of my eye, and CNN says their headline on this is Trump withdraws federal protections for transgender students. Protections. It's calling them protections. Protections. That's what it's calling it. To me, these are not protections. The Obama bathroom guideline was about which bathrooms transgendered students are allowed to use. The Obama bathroom guidelines had nothing to do with protecting transgendered students from anything. Now, someone might say, oh, but if transgendered students are so if a transgendered male who identifies as female is forced to use the male bathroom, they might get beat up or something. So this is a protection. But see, that's different. Because I'm guessing there are rules in place at schools, and also federal rules against students beating up a transgendered student because of their sexuality or whatever. So this withdrawing this bathroom rule does not withdraw a protection. It withdraws what would you call it? Like an opportunity for the student to use the bathroom of their gender choice. But that's all it's withdrawn. But the New York Times said this today, and CNN is saying it right now. And it's inaccurate, and it's biased, and it's wrong. And this has nothing to do with my opinion of what transgendered students, what bathrooms they should be allowed to use. I'm just talking now about strictly, so here it is, the New York Times, I'm going to show you real quick. Let me show you this. I want to show you this. I'm so mad about this. Okay, Trump withdraws federal protections for transgender students. Protections. Well, look at the New York Times. Look at the New York Times right now. Let me show you this one. Trump to undo protections for transgender students. So the mainstream media has this word protections, and they love using it when describing what's going on. Trump withdraws federal protections for transgender students. Trump to undo protections for transgender students. So let me say this right now. If, as has been reported, this is all the reporting I've seen. The reporting I'm aware of is that all the Trump administration has said, we are no longer insisting on this bathroom rule that the Obama administration insisted on under Title IX. I don't see how that is withdrawing a protection. Can you tell me how is saying to people at schools, you no longer can use the opposite biological gender bathroom, just because you self-identify with that gender. So how does the Trump administration say schools are free to have a rule that says people at the school must use the bathroom of their biological gender? How does doing that withdraw a federal protection? Was the Obama rule a transgender protection? I thought the Obama bathroom rule was just a rule about which bathrooms transgendered students could use. It said nothing about protecting transgendered students from abuse. So to me, this word protection that CNN is using right now, they're saying Trump withdraws federal protections, that New York Times is using. Breaking news in the New York Times, they're saying the Trump administration has rescinded protections for transgender students that allowed them to use bathrooms of their choice. Why is it a protection? I don't understand why it's a protection. It's a certain opportunity they were granted by the Obama administration, but it's not a protection. Protection is a loaded word, it's an inaccurate word, and when the New York Times and CNN says inaccurately, this is what the story is. When they say Trump withdraws federal protections, it's specifically designed to make this decision by Trump look bad to people who don't know the specifics about what's going on. And this is just the kind of reason that the Trump administration and Trump supporters, I would say to you, hate CNN now and hate the New York Times and hate the mainstream media, because this is an inaccurate reporting of this story. The Trump administration has not withdrawn a protection. They have simply said this guideline about which bathrooms transgender students could use. So it's not a protection, it's just saying it's a opportunity granted to certain transgender students that wasn't granted before. If the Trump administration withdraws that, that's not withdrawing a protection. And when the mainstream media says Trump withdraws federal protections, as CNN is saying right in front of my eyes right now, and so is the New York Times, you know what that says? That says the Trump administration is basically okay with transgender students or transgender individuals at the schools getting beat up and getting discriminated against and getting mistreated. That's what they're basically reporting now when they say Trump withdraws federal protections. And that is not what President Trump has done. All President Trump has done has said schools no longer must be forced to let transgender students use the bathroom that is a bathroom of the gender they self-identify with. That's all the Trump administration has said. They've said we're not going to insist that schools let students use the bathroom of the gender they self-identify with, regardless of their biological gender. And that's all I've seen reported, and that is not withdrawing a protection. And I don't understand why the New York Times and CNN is reporting this right now. Turn on CNN on your TV as withdrawing a federal protection for transgender students. And when they do this, they turn people who don't know the specifics against Donald Trump, because if a person doesn't know the specifics, they're going to say, oh, wait, so President Trump wants transgender students to not be protected and to be abused and beaten up. That's what that language is designed to do. And either the people at the New York Times and CNN are really stupid and they don't know any better and they don't know enough about this to know that Trump did not withdraw a protection, or they're intentionally choosing this language to make President Trump look bad and intentionally choosing inaccurate language. So sorry, I was going to go to your comments and I just noticed that the New York Times right now, go to the New York Times webpage, go to CNN, watch their feed, they're using the word protections and they're classifying what happened tonight as Trump withdrawing federal protections for transgendered students. And President Trump has not done that. All President Trump has done is said this bathroom rule under which Obama declared, which made schools getting federal funding let students and other people at the school use whatever gender bathroom they self-identified with, regardless of their biological gender. All President Trump has done is said, we are no longer enforcing that. That is not withdrawing a federal protection. That is withdrawing an opportunity that the Obama administration granted to certain transgendered students, an opportunity which many people, including the Trump administration, think that was never in Title IX in the first place. Okay, now that I've said that, I will get back to your comments. If you would like to send in your comments, if you disagree with me, fine. I'm happy to read your comments. I would love to hear from you, just whatever you think about this whole issue. The two ways to make your comments or send in your questions, one is to go to my Twitter feed, which is at Lookner, at Lookner, and direct message me there. Direct message me at Lookner on Twitter. Or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. And let me just say this. I am in no, well, I don't even, I gotta go to your comments. I'll keep ranting, so maybe I'll say something about this later. But, okay, so we have Miss Teresa. Miss Teresa writes in, my thought early on is that the trans rules would make it socially unacceptable to question any man entering a ladies' room. Seems dangerous, e.g., wouldn't it be easy for non-trans criminals to take hostages, launch an attack, and such via the ladies' room, where there could be very young children as well as women? So it seems, Miss Teresa, your worry about the Obama bathroom guidance, about the Obama, I'll call it the Obama bathroom rule, is you said, it seems like your worry about the Obama bathroom rule, the way it was written, was that that men, biological men, who didn't actually identify as women could use this rule to go into women's bathrooms, and women in there would not want to question that person, and bad stuff could result because of that. So that is your opinion, Ms. Teresa, your concern about the Obama bathroom guidance, the Obama bathroom rule. So I would presume that you are supportive of the President Trump's reversal of that. Thank you for your comment. Let me also go to Shal Arpton. Shal Arpton says, glad to see rollbacks of federal overreach. And some have considered this overreach because they think that when President Obama declared this bathroom rule in 2015, the Obama administration said, this rule needs to be in place because it's part of Title IX. Title IX was this No Sex Discrimination in Schools Act that was passed in 1972. And the Obama administration said, hey, schools, if you don't let people use the bathroom of their self-determined gender choice, you're doing self-discrimination and you're violating Title IX. And numerous people have said, actually, Title IX, when it talks about sex discrimination, it's talking about biological sex. It's talking about discrimination against biological females and biological males. And this, a number of people were very critical of the Obama administration in 2015 because they said this bathroom regulation is not justified by Title IX. Title IX doesn't imply this. Title IX has nothing to do with transgender bathrooms. So, Shal Arpton, this might be your view, and what you're saying is you think that 2015 regulation, what you did say by the Obama administration, was federal overreach, and you're happy to see this rollback of that. Thank you for your comment. I have another comment here I want to get to from Parade Driver. Parade Driver says, my brother is retired Navy and works in maintenance at the University of North Florida. He has to keep replacing gender-neutral bathroom signs. People steal them for the novelty of having one. Well, thank you for that story from Parade Driver. So, just to repeat here, we are covering this breaking news, and I just want to check something real quick. One more comment here. This is from Sandy Bowe. Sandy Bowe says, all this says is you are not mandated to allow boys and girls bathrooms. So I think you mean self-identifying boys who self-identify as girls in girls' bathrooms. Schools are liberal and will continue allowing boys in girls' bathrooms. It doesn't force boys into boys and girls into girls. Again, liberal schools will still allow boys into girls' bathrooms. So this is a good point by Sandy Bowe. All this ruling does. So I don't even know if it's called a ruling. All what the President Trump's administration tonight has done is they've said, we will no longer force schools to have a certain transgender bathroom policy. They have said, the Trump administration has said, we will no longer force schools to let people use whatever bathroom they think agrees with their self-identified gender. So according to the Obama administration in 2015, they said that schools needed to let, for example, a biological male who self-identifies as a female, if they consider themselves a female, they must be allowed to use the female restroom. Similarly, if there's a biological female who self-identifies as a male, who considers themselves a male, they don't have to go, as far as I'm aware, they didn't have to go see anyone or get officially approved or whatever. It's just about the gender you self-identify with. According to the Obama administration, you must be allowed to use the bathroom corresponding to the gender you self-identify with, no matter whether you're biologically male or female. So if you were a biological male, you could use the women's room if you self-identified as a female, and if you were a biological female, you had to be allowed to use the men's room if you self-identified as a male. And all the Trump administration has said tonight is we are no longer insisting on schools having that bathroom policy. That's it. And that is why it is totally deceptive and inaccurate, and I would say, I would use worse words like nefarious or whatever, that tonight the New York Times and CNN are reporting this story as Trump rescinding protections for transgender students. That's how they're reporting this, as Trump rescinding protections. President Trump has not rescinded a protection. He's not rescinded some anti-discrimination rule. All he said is, we are not going to insist on a certain bathroom policy, and that bathroom policy itself was not a protection. That bathroom policy let certain transgender students use certain bathrooms, but that's not a protection. That's like a policy that gives bathroom opportunity, not protection from something to transgendered students. So it is entirely being inaccurately and misleadingly reported by the New York Times, I know right now, and by CNN, because I just had their headline up, that this is the Trump administration somehow rescinding a protection. It's dishonest to me. It's inaccurate, dishonest, and it's really sneaky. And this is the kind of reason that a lot of people who support Trump don't like the media and are suspicious of the media. They do this stuff and they keep doing it. It's really incredible to me. Anyways, if you would like to write in while we are covering this story, this breaking news, I would love to hear what you think about this, no matter what you think about it. If you are against the Trump administration's ruling or their guidance, and you like the Obama administration's rule, let us know. Let people hear it. So write in to me if you'd like. The two ways to do that are go to my Twitter. My Twitter is @Lookner, @LOOKNER. And you can write to me, direct message me there, direct message me at @Lookner on Twitter, or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. So again, we are covering the Trump administration. The Trump administration tonight has come out and said, we are no longer going to insist on the Obama bathroom rule, and the Obama bathroom rule for schools was schools must let people at the schools use whatever bathroom they want that agreed with their self-identified gender. So no matter what biological gender people at the school were, they had to be allowed to use the bathroom of the gender they self-identified with. And the Trump administration tonight is saying we will no longer insist on that. That's what they're saying. Let me go here over to Twitter. And Parade Driver says CNN and New York Times want to fan the flame, keeping the protests going. That's what Parade Driver says. Thank you, Parade Driver. Let's see if there are any other comments here that people have sent in so far. I'm just checking here. I also want to check my Twitter to see if there are any just general comments that came out about this. If you see, like, for example, a particularly interesting tweet that somebody sends out, you want me to know about it, direct message me on Twitter at @Lookner and let me know. Or if you hear some other information about this story and you think it'd be good to get it out there, let me know. Because as I'm reporting this, I don't get enough time as much time as I'd like to actually follow what's developing here. So I am going to briefly go over my Twitter feed and just see if anyone has come out with anything about this. I'm looking. I'm not seeing much new right now on my Twitter feed about this, so I don't really know what's going on. And I will say this, it's kind of interesting to me. I thought that CNN, so I just happen to have CNN on the background here. I thought that CNN would be like covering this nonstop. They've broken in and reported it, but they haven't been covering it nonstop. CNN did this thing tonight where they're covering tempers flare at GOP town halls. They're covering it like it's the brand new news story, and it's like the most breaking of breaking news, even though it's been going on for like a week. And I think CNN is just using it as an excuse. To me, part of what they're doing is just using it as an excuse to show that people are angry at President Trump, and they like pulling in their anti-Trump audience that way, because I see no news value need to cover it nearly as much as they're doing tonight, like it's a brand new thing. So Zulu, Yulu, and You has sent me a message, and it's 3 angry emojis. Now, I don't know what the anger is about. I'd love to know. Zulu, if you disagree, Zulu, Yulu, and You, with this ruling that came out tonight from the Trump administration, I'd love to know why. I see angry, but I don't know why you're angry. So I'd love to know. I'd be happy to read your comments on the air. We are equal opportunity comment readers. Let's see here. So again, if you want, I'll just repeat this because normally we would have this up on the screen. If you want to write in and say your comment on what's going on, happy to read it here, or ask a question. Happy to try to answer your question. Direct message me on Twitter, which is at Lookner, at Lookner, or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. So this has come out tonight. I wonder, personally, one thing I'm wondering about is, what will the response be like this, like tomorrow? Like, will there be like a giant protests about this? Will there be protests on college campuses? Will there be protests tonight about this? I don't know. Will there be protests in the, say, transgender community? Will there not be these protests? How much will the media cover this? How much will they mislabel it continue to mislabel it a withdrawing of protections? I don't know. So these are all interesting things to look for soon. Let's see here. I'm just checking my messages here. So to repeat the breaking news, I want to keep repeating it. For those of you who just tuned in, President Obama in 2015 told schools, if you want to keep receiving federal money, then you must let people at the school use whatever the bathroom of whatever gender they self-identify with. So if a student's a biological male, if they self-identify with females, if they consider themselves a female, you must let them use the women's bathroom if you want to keep using federal money. The Trump administration tonight came out and said, we're no longer enforcing that rule. Schools do no longer have to let people use the bathroom they self-identify with. That's what the Trump administration has said tonight. That is all I've heard they have said so far. I think I just got a message or a notification here. Let me see. We have a message from Jason. So Jason writes in, and Jason says, Obama's State and Justice Department ordered states to provide these protections under Title IX. The issue was that Title IX does not offer these kinds of protections. So when it reaches the Supreme Court, it would fail with the current pending cases. Thank you, Jason. Jason, I think you have a powerful point. So the Obama administration, when they came out with this bathroom rule in 2015, they said it was justified under Title IX. Title IX is a law, part of a law that was passed in 1972. And basically speaking, Title IX said you can't discriminate in schools on the basis of sex. But many people have thought that when Title IX was talking about on the basis of sex, it was referring to biological sex. So you can't discriminate against biological females or against biological males. And that interpretation of Title IX would certainly make sense, because the reason Title IX, the big motivation for Title IX, were situations in colleges where biological females were getting discriminated against. For example, there might be a college where biological females were required to meet a higher standard of admission than biological males. Or there might be a college or high school where the school spent way more money on biological males' athletic teams than biological female athletic teams. Or there might be a school where, say, in some like professional program like the med school or the law school or some particular major, more men than women, biological men than biological women got let into that major. So these are the kinds, if you go back and look at the history of Title IX and why it got passed, that's why, those are the considerations why. And so when you look at Title IX, it says schools can't discriminate on the basis of sex. on the basis of sex could mean a lot of different things. On the basis of biological sex, on the basis of what sex people self-identify with. And one common reading of Title IX, which goes against the Obama administration, is that when Title IX says no discrimination on the basis of sex, it was simply talking about on the basis of biological sex, on the basis of whether you are born a man, people who are born a man or born a woman. And if you think that, you think, well, Title IX doesn't has nothing to say about transgender bathroom regulations, because even if you think not letting, say, a transgender man who identifies as female, even if you think not letting that person use the women's room is discrimination, it's not discrimination on the basis of their biological sex. It's on the basis, it's like discrimination against a certain group of biological men that identifies as females. So, and this sounds to me like, Jason, what you're saying. Jason T. Lewis, who just wrote in, thank you for the comment. Jason writes in, look, Title IX doesn't offer the, doesn't allow the transgender students to use whatever bathroom they self-identify with. That's just not part of Title IX. And Jason even says if this had gone to the Supreme Court, it would be overturned. Now, actually, I should check on this. I believe this might actually be going to the Supreme Court. Let me just look up this. You can trans bathroom Obama Supreme Court. Let me get this info for you. Let's see. Yes, so the Supreme Court, this is from October, the Supreme Court will decide whether the Obama administration may require public school systems to let transgender students use the bathrooms that align with their gender identity. So, okay, this is interesting. So, the Supreme Court at the end of last year in October had said they are going to issue a ruling on whether President Obama's bathroom regulation is lawful, whether it's constitutional, whether it just agrees with the established law out there. And now I'm wondering, since the Trump administration is no longer sticking with the Obama bathroom rule, will the Supreme Court still rule on this case? Because I believe the people bringing the case were, let's see, the U.S. Court of Appeals. Yeah, so, okay, right. So the person, so this case in the Supreme Court was filed by this person, Grimm, and this is Gavin Grimm. So Gavin Grimm filed a lawsuit against the Obama administration, and what Gavin Grimm said is that, oh, I might be wrong about this. I'm sorry. So Gavin Grimm did file the lawsuit. So I need to, rather than read this all on the air, let me just say this. I'll read this more later and get clear on this. But basically, the Supreme Court right now is supposed to be issuing a ruling on whether the Obama administration's bathroom policy is lawful or not. Now, I don't know whether this Trump administration coming out and saying, well, we're not going to have this rule anymore that the Obama administration said. Will the Supreme Court no longer deal with this issue, or will they still deal with this issue? I don't know. I just started thinking about this right now. I could sit here and read in front of you all this information, but that probably would not be exciting for you to watch, so I will go read about it later. For now, I will just say we are continuing to cover this breaking news that the Trump administration announced tonight that they will no longer I guess you could say, enforce or insist on this bathroom rule that the Obama administration declared in 2015. And that rule was that schools receiving public funding must let people at the school use whatever bathroom corresponds to their self-identified gender, regardless of their biological gender. So according to the Obama administration, if a biological male student self-identified, consider themselves a female, they must be allowed to use the women's bathroom. The Trump administration tonight has said they will no longer insist on that rule, and that schools will no longer be forced to have that bathroom policy. That's all the Trump administration has said. So to me, when you see CNN and New York Times and lots of other outlets saying Trump administration takes away transgender protections, I feel that's inaccurate because they did not take away a transgender protection. They just took away a rule that gave transgender students a certain opportunity to use a certain bathroom. And to me, that is not taking away a protection. So that's I think that's misleading media on this. So let me look and see if you, and we'd be happy to take your comments. If you have any comments or questions on this while we're covering it, please feel free to write me. You can either direct message me on Twitter at Lookner. I'm at Lookner, at Lookner, and you can direct message me there. Or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Let's just see if there are any new comments or notifications. Sarge's comment was Kennedy sent man to the room. Sarge's comment was Kennedy sent man to the moon, Obama sent man to the ladies' room. So that was Sarge's humorous comment. And let's see, are there other messages people have sent here? I'm not seeing one there. Let me check my webmail. Not seeing messages yet. So I'm wondering, has President Trump tweeted about this? Let me see here. I'm looking. I see no tweet about this from President Trump. I do not know if he will tweet about this. That will be interesting to see. I also should go in. You know what I can do now? I also kind of want to go in and get the chat room on full. Let me do this. So I'm going to now look at the chat room. Give me 1 second while I open up the feed going on here. So all you people are commenting. It's going by so fast if you're commenting in the chat room. So if I go to the chat room, all right, now I'm going to go to the video. I'm going to pause it. Now I see the chat room here, and I think I can make it bigger if I remember how to do this. I'm going to pop it out. Pop out chat. That is done. And now I can do this. Let me see. Sorry, everyone, while I do this, please give me a second. And okay, so I am seeing the chat, and I am just looking over the chat just in case you have questions there. Somebody says, what do I think of the Illinois situation? I'm not sure what Illinois situation you're talking about. Somebody says, am I sweating? The answer is no. Yes, thank you, Jacqueline. Oh, I popped out the chat. So if you have any questions, another thing you can do is somebody says, scroll the chat to stop it from moving. I see. Oh, thank you. Okay, that's good. So now I have the chat open. Hold on, I'm trying to get everything open here so I can see what you're saying. There we go. Okay, so all right, I am back with you here. So we are covering right now this breaking news story. And this breaking news story tonight is that President Trump has said he is no longer going to insist on the Obama administration bathroom rule. The Obama administration said, hey, if you want to keep getting federal money, schools, you must let people at the schools use whatever bathroom they self-identify with, regardless of what their biological gender is. And President Obama had said, this is Title IX. By Title IX, this rule should be in place. The President Trump has said, we're no longer going to enforce that rule. And the two reasons that President Trump's administration gave for this that I have heard so far is, one, they have said they think this is a state's issue to decide, and the states should be deciding their bathroom policy, not the federal government. And two, Sean Spicer today said he thought, the administration thought that Title IX did not say anything about transgender bathroom regulations. And Title IX is about discrimination. Now, I think he might have said this because commonly some people look at a common view of Title IX is it has to do with discrimination on the basis of biological sex. So if you think that, you're going to think Title IX doesn't apply to transgender bathroom regulations. But regardless, Sean Spicer said that on the administration's view, this Obama bathroom rule was not justified by Title IX, was not part of Title IX. And so the Trump administration tonight has said they will no longer insist that schools let people use whatever bathroom they self-identify with. Now, it is still, though, even in spite of this ruling from the Trump administration tonight, states and schools are still free to put in these certain bathroom regulations if they want them. So say, if the University of Washington State University said, we want to have a bathroom regulation like the Obama regulation. They can still do that. Nothing the Trump administration tonight said prevents that from happening. They are just not going to insist on the regulation the Obama administration insisted on. So let me just check. We'll be on a little while longer here. If you want to write in any comments about this, feel free to direct message me at Lookner, which is at Lookner, or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. And I'm also going to peek at the chat real quick and see what people are saying in there, if there are any questions in there. I see people are talking about this. I'm just seeing if people had asked any questions. And I will give you a second if you'd like to ask questions. I am not seeing any questions at the moment, so I will not answer any questions at the moment. So we'll see. One thing we'll see, I guess I thought that this was going to be a really big deal in the media, and I don't know if it's going to be, because CNN certainly reported this when it happens, but I would say in the last 45 minutes, I had CNN on in the background here just to see how they're covering it. Maybe they spent 15 on this and it's just come out. So I wonder, do you think MSNBC is covering this in a stronger way? Let me see here. I'm tuning it to MSNBC and seeing what they're doing. MSNBC. Oh, yes. Oh, and you'll be glad to know that MSNBC is reporting this as well as, look, Trump removes protections. Trump removes protections. That's what they're calling this. How is this Trump removing a protection? How is it Trump removing a protection? All it's saying, President Trump did tonight is say, schools don't have to have a rule by which they let transgender students use the bathroom that they self-identify with. That's not removing a protection. That, I guess, is in some cases removing a bathroom opportunity. But removing a bathroom opportunity is not a protection. If I'm at work, for example, let's say I work at a building and there's the 10th floor roof and I like going up there because it has a nice view. And the building says to me, hey, you know what? People who work here can no longer use the roof. They haven't removed a protection I had. They removed an opportunity I had to go on the roof, but they haven't removed a protection. And similarly, when the Trump administration says, hey, schools no longer have to let transgender students use whatever bathroom they choose to use based on their self-identified gender, that's not removing a protection. And CNN tonight is using the language Trump removes protections. MSNBC is using the language Trump removes protections. New York Times is using the language Trump removes protections. And that kind of language, that is harmful, because that makes it sound, especially to people who aren't up with all the details of the story, that makes it sound like there was something that was in place to protect transgendered people from, say, being beaten up or being harassed. And it makes it sound like Donald Trump took that protection away. And it makes it sound like President Trump is okay with transgender students being beaten up or harassed or whatever. But what he did tonight in no way is that. It's not removing a protection for transgendered students. I get tired of saying this, but everybody keeps reporting this. And how does MSNBC and CNN and New York Times, how do they just get away with that? That to me is a gross inaccuracy, and it's an accuracy seemingly designed to make President Trump look bad. I don't understand it. Now, if somebody can inform me how what President Trump did tonight is a protection, is getting rid of a protection for transgender students, please let me know. Because to me, when I look at this, I just see this as just a gross inaccuracy that these gigantic national media outlets are forcing on people, and I just don't understand it. And this has nothing to do with my view of the bathroom rule or the Trump administration's action on it tonight. All this has a view. All I'm talking about right now is the way the story is being covered. And to me, it is grossly and inexcusably inaccurate, and also very biased against President Trump. And it's not even like a spin on the story. It's just utterly inaccurate to say that the Trump administration tonight removed protections on transgendered people. It's just not true. At least according to my understanding of what they did tonight, So I would love for somebody to correct me on this if they think I'm wrong about it. I don't understand it. I'm very confused right now. It's really upsetting to me. Anyways, so if you want to write in and comment on this at all while we're still on the air covering this live, direct message me at Twitter at Lookner at Lookner. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at Lookner too if you'd like to get. I actually was tweeting about this issue earlier today. So if you like tweets about the current news that's going on, feel free to follow me. Also, feel free to follow Right Side Broadcasting at RSB Network. And also, you can also email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. So I am not seeing any, let me just check. I want to check my email and see what's going on there. Okay, Diane Birch writes in, thank you for pointing out the deceptive headlines and lies of the mainstream media. Your thoughtful analysis is spot on and much appreciated. Well, thank you, Diane, for saying that. I appreciate it. And just so people know, I in no way came on tonight. I just came on to report the story. I didn't come on to go on this rant against the CNN and MSNBC and the New York Times. I just saw that they were describing this as Trump administration, they said Trump, not even Trump administration, they said Trump removes protections for transgendered students. And I just said, well, that's grossly inaccurate. That's not what happened at all. It's not what happened at all. It makes President Trump look like he hates transgendered students and wants them to get beaten up or something. And it's just not accurate, completely inaccurate. And they get away with it. And no one will call them on it. Really ridiculous. So let me just look at the chat room here and see if people have any questions or anything. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. And I also want to look at my Twitter page. So now I'm even surprised. So Chris Hayes, who's on MSNBC right now, I figured at least they would be covering the story live, but now they're talking about Scott Pruitt in the EPA. So did I just misread this? So why isn't like CNN and MSNBC, who doesn't like Trump, why aren't they using this transgender bathroom thing? Why aren't they covering this like full Blair coverage nonstop and using it to go after President Trump? Or why aren't they just covering it at all? I mean, I'm pretty surprised. I thought I would see like an hour of just straight coverage of this on MSNBC and CNN. And for most of the last hour, CNN has not been covered. That's not been their lead story. So I don't know why this is happening. Is there like, if it was gay instead of transgender, would that be different? I mean, I thought this was a issue that liberals really, really, really cared about and were really, really, really going to be upset by if President Trump came out with this ruling. So maybe I misread the anger, or maybe the mainstream media misread the anger of their viewer base. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised it's not getting more coverage. And I'm also, well, I'm just looking. Let me look at Twitter here. I'm sort of interested in seeing if like have any celebrities come out and talk about this and stuff like that. So I'll look up Trump transgender on Twitter and see what I find. What will I find here? What prominent people have posted anything? Okay, I'm seeing stuff about the actual news story. Let's see here. I'm looking for like, let's see. Okay, so this is a tweet from Andrew McCarthy. And Andrew McCarthy, he is conservative. He does stuff for National Review, but I have frequently retweeted Andrew McCarthy's stories because Andrew McCarthy, I feel, is a very smart person, and he writes a lot of stories that are very intelligent. I will show you Andrew McCarthy's tweet. This is what Andrew McCarthy says. Ready? Look at this. This is Andrew McCarthy's tweet. Andrew McCarthy says, Trump especially right on Obama transgender decree because it was extortionate. DOJ lawfare is bullying, not good faith policy debate. So I think what Andrew McCarthy is saying, part of what he's saying here, is he's saying that sorry about that. I think Andrew McCarthy here is saying when President Obama in 2015 came out with this bathroom rule and said it was based on Title IX, Andrew McCarthy is saying, you know what, if President Obama really wanted to come out with a bathroom rule, they should have made new law about it, because this bathroom rule really isn't part of Title IX, and if you're going to make this new rule, it should be a new law, and there should be a policy debate about it. And when he says DOJ lawfare, I think he's saying something like using making new policies by like saying, oh, it's implied by this already existing law when it really isn't, and instead of actually having a debate about a new law. So that is what I take Andrew McCarthy to be saying on this. So let me go back to me. I'm going to continue looking at my Twitter and seeing if there are any other particularly interesting tweets about this tonight. Let's see. Now, this is great. I'm going to show you this. I love this. I just love this. A tale of two tweets. So look at here. We have CNN says Trump administration withdraws federal protections. As I have been saying constantly tonight, the Trump administration has not withdrawn any protections on anything. All they've done is said, we are not going to insist on the Obama bathroom rule, which was not a protection. Fox News, meanwhile, says Trump administration revokes Obama transgender bathroom guidance for schools. That's more accurate. Notice that Fox News doesn't use this inaccurate word protection. Fox News doesn't say Trump administration withdraws protection because the Trump administration didn't withdraw protection. But of course CNN says Trump administration withdraws federal protections because they're completely inaccurate. Hold on a second here. Let me get back and see if there are any more. Let's see. Oh, look at this. This is amazing. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. This is from the ACLU. Oops. This is from the ACLU. The ACLU says President Trump's revocation of the guidance, however, does not undo legal protections for transgender students. How about that? So this is from the ACLU, and this shows that the ACLU would agree with me that when CNN and MSNBC and the New York Times say Trump tonight withdrew protections, they are wrong and inaccurate because the ACLU is saying right now President Trump's revocation of the guidance about the bathroom law does not undo legal protections. See, I told you they were inaccurate. Even the ACLU agrees with me on this. So there you go. Amazing. Amazing. Even they are saying how inaccurate this report, this way of describing this story is. Let's see here if there are other things. NPR also doesn't use the word protection. Let me just see. I'm just looking to make sure there are no like celebrity tweets and stuff like that that just came out. So give me one more second because I find it interesting to say what Twitter is saying about this. Hold on, I'm going to get some more tweets reloaded here. If you have, by the way, if you see any particularly interesting tweets you want me to point out, feel free to direct message me at Lookner at Lookner, or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Either, again, my Twitter is at Lookner at Lookner, and you can direct message me there. I have a message. Andrew writes in. Andrew S. writes in, just want to say hello. I'm watching from my Xbox One. I am loving your coverage on the subject. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for watching, Andrew S. Appreciate it, and thank you for your kind words. Let's see if there's other feedback people have written in about this. Sorry. Checking my email real quick. Okay, so to recap what's going on here, President Trump came out tonight, the Trump administration came out tonight and they said, we are no longer going to insist on this bathroom rule that the Obama administration declared in 2015. The Obama administration in 2015 said, hey, if you're a school and you receive public money and you want to keep receiving that public money, you need to let anyone at the school use the bathroom of the gender they self-identify with, regardless of their biological gender. So, for example, schools must, according to this Obama rule, if there's a biological male, but they self-identify as a female, not that somebody's classified them as this, but if they just say, I really think I'm a female, that's what I identify with, schools have to let that person, that biological male, use the women's room, and because if they don't get any federal money. And the Obama administration said in 2015 that this bathroom rule was actually implied by Title IX. And Title IX is this part of a 1972 law, and it basically outlaws sex discrimination in schools. Now, the Trump administration tonight has come out and said, we are not going to insist on this law. which, and I guess that implies that the Obama administration, insist on this bathroom rule. And that would imply that the Obama administration doesn't think, let me take a step back. The Trump administration tonight came out and said, we're not going to insist on this Obama bathroom rule. So that's thing one. And earlier today, Sean Spicer said the administration does not think this rule is part of Title IX. And let me just say, a reason they might not think that is a lot of people think that Title IX, which is a federal rule against sex discrimination in schools, is not meant to cover transgender discrimination. It's meant to cover only discrimination on the basis of biological sex, like discriminating against all biological women or discriminating against all biological men. And if you look at the reasons Title IX was originally created and passed, it had to do with discrimination against biological women, like not letting them enroll in certain classes to the same degree as men, or not spending as much on biological female sports teams as biological male sports teams. So there's a plausible interpretation, that's not the only one, there's a plausible interpretation of Title IX on which Obama's bathroom rule in no way was part of Title IX, and that's what the Trump administration believed as well. So we are covering this right now. I've talked about how I think it's being totally mislabeled by MSNBC, the New York Times, and CNN as Trump withdrawing protections from transgender people. He didn't withdraw protection for them at all. He just said, we're not going to insist on this bathroom rule, and not insisting on the bathroom rule is not withdrawing a protection from them. It's withdrawing a chance to use a certain bathroom. That's not withdrawing a protection. And so that's, and I'm also a little surprised that this is not being more covered on CNN and MSNBC, because I thought they would just be hour after hour, or at least an hour or so of straight outrage about this. So that I find interesting. Let me see if there's any other popular tweets or anything about this. If you'd like to write me and say, have a comment right on the air, you can go to my Twitter, which is at Lookner, at Lookner, and direct message me there. Or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. I'm just going to check the chat room and see what is happening there, if there are any questions about it. I'm not seeing any questions right this second. So let me say this. I'm probably going to wrap this up in a few minutes here because we have to get up early tomorrow. Why do we have to get up early tomorrow? Because CPAC coverage starts tomorrow on Right Side Broadcasting. Tomorrow and Friday, full days of CPAC coverage. So I know Kellyanne Conway is supposed to start speaking at 9:10 a.m. Eastern, 8:10 a.m. Central. So I need to be in the office earlier than that. So tomorrow, if you watch Right Side Broadcasting, you'll be able to watch live Kellyanne Conway. Who else is speaking tomorrow? Vice President Pence is speaking. I believe Priebus and Bannon are speaking tomorrow. We're going to show Ted Cruz's speech tomorrow. So all the speeches plus live coverage with we have 4 people at the CPAC. We have Margaret Howell, Wayne Dupree, Will Nardi, and Liz Willis. They'll all be filing reports from CPAC live. So you can watch that. Friday morning, we have President Trump's speech from CPAC Live. And I'll be in the studio doing some stuff. So lots of CPAC stuff coming at you the next 2 days. Right Side Broadcasting is the place to be for that. So I hope you enjoy that coverage. So for now, it's looking like people are basically out of questions and out of comments right now. So I want to thank you for joining our coverage tonight. We have been covering the breaking news tonight, which is that the Trump administration has said they will no longer insist on the Obama bathroom rule. And the Obama bathroom rule said schools receiving public money must let people at the school use whatever bathroom they self-identify with, including us. So if a biological boy identifies as a girl, they must be allowed to use the women's room. That was the Obama rule, saying that people must be allowed to use at schools the bathroom they self-identify with gender-wise. The Trump administration said we're no longer going to enforce that rule. We're no longer going to insist on that rule. That's what they've said. So as of tonight, that rule now is done away with. Now, I guess in the future, a Democratic president could insist on that rule again. And a lingering question I have, as I said before, is the Supreme Court was going to rule on whether the Obama bathroom rule was constitutional. I guess whether, not just constitutional, because whether it's legal, and their ruling might be based on whether it's really part of Title IX, as the Obama administration said it was. I don't know if that case is still going to proceed now that this rule is no longer being enforced. That's something I'm going to try to do some research on tonight. Anyways, I totally appreciate you joining me here. I hope this was enjoyable, informative for you. We will, if new developments come out about this, we will have them. And just so you know, President Trump's new executive order on immigration, late story is now reported it's supposed to come out next week sometime. Originally, we had heard it was going to come out at the end of this week, but now I've heard it's supposed to come out next week. So if we hear any information on that, we will get right on the air as we did tonight. Thank you for joining me here for our coverage. We will continue to bring you the news. We'll bring you CPAC the next couple days, breaking news as it happens. Thank you so much to the moderators out there for... Thank you for the moderators for moderating the chat room. Doing a great job as usual. If you want to donate to Right Side, we always appreciate donations to help bring you all the coverage we bring you. Either go to rsbn.tv/donate or gofundme.com GoFundMe.com/NextGenRSBN. And that's it for me. I'm Steve Lookner. And I should say again, if you like this breaking news coverage and you want to follow me on Twitter, I always send out an email when we're going to cover breaking news. I'm going to cover it. So follow me at Twitter. It's @Lookner, @LOOKNER. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will just give a shout out to all the people in the chat room right now. We got Miss Tree and Guinevere and Music World and Tom Tucker and Sparkles and S Fizz and Jacqueline O and Ophir for Trump and Debbie Bowman. Who else we had in the chat room? Nets fan, Jason Thornton. Jason for the sign guy, Jason Thornton. Hey, what's going on? Run Fast Cow, Angela Ray, Sandy Bow, Rabbit Hop X, Kathleen Loverso. Who else was out there? Joseph Horvath, David Ha, Angela Ray, Hurrah Rand, Dan P. Who else? Who else do we not get as I scroll up and down? I think I got everybody I see here so far. Sultry Feathers, Duke, Tom Tucker, Will. Did I miss people? I hope I didn't miss anyone. That's at least more recent people. Oh, Jan, we got you. Dan P. JC, Lady B, Soldier of. Hey, everybody. Jackie Orvets, Keith McLeod, Frank in Florida. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being in the chat room and commenting. Zilla Stromboli, we got you. Soldier of 1104. Any more shout-outs before I sign off? I think we might have gotten everybody out there. Anyways, so glad you guys all tuned in. David Ha, I hope you had a good time in the chat room. And all right, I gotta go. I gotta get up early tomorrow to cover CPAC. So thank you guys. Have a great night in the whatever in chat room is next or whatever you're doing. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for all your feedback, and we will talk to you soon. Have a great night. See you later on.